freshly straightened my hair and prepped my skin. Today I use Smokey. This is from Body Shop. It is a vegan and cruelty-free line. I just like it because it's quite minty, and when I am having a breakout, it really settles the breakouts and just gives me a cleaner canvas. And you'll also notice that my brows are done. So today my brows, I used the Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof in medium brown. And a little bit of clear brow gel, just because my brow hairs, they're quite sparse, but they're long, so I just do that in order to keep them in shape. To get started, I'm going to go ahead and make just a really nice base and cut underneath my brows using Anastasia Beverly Hills concealer. So this is just their cream concealer, and the color is 1.0. So I'm using Anastasia Beverly Hills Concealer. It's a cream concealer in color 1.0. And I'm going to use this to cut underneath the brows. And also just to conceal across my eye. I do have a couple noticeable capillaries, and you know, I just want to make sure that I have a really beautiful, flawless base, because there is going to be a large portion of the eye that's going to be matte and nude. So in my opinion, this is going to work a lot better than just a normal eye primer. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye. I like this because it is a synthetic brush, but it's still actually quite stiff. It's going to allow you to pull the concealer in the directions that you want it to. I probably wouldn't use this underneath the eye for blending the concealer, but it does do a really good job of putting the concealer in the places that you want it and making the application quite even. Because I'm going to be working with blacks today, I'm going to go ahead and actually do the rest of my face last. So now to set the concealer, I'm just going to go ahead and use a very light eyeshadow, Morphe 35N. It is 35 shades that are all actually quite neutral, as you can see. There are a lot of pinks, but pinks are great for blending out colors when you need to. Color right here. Reason being is I feel like that's probably a little bit too white. This is a little bit more neutral, a little bit more creamy. Now, I'm just using just a fluffy blending brush, and I'm going to just pop this all over the eye. So now that's been set, I'm going to go ahead and start in with other colors. This brush is one of my all-time favorite brushes. It's actually from Stila. It's the 30. As you can see, there's a really tiny tapered brush on the end, and then on the opposite side, there is a kind of flat brush that you can use for packing pigments. This was just a little steal that I picked up in Mecca, and I decided to give it a go. It is now literally one of my favorite shadow brushes. I probably use it in every look, and it's one of the smallest tapered brushes that I've been able to find that actually blends. So I'm just going back in again with this lighter color and just packing it just on the inner corner. So now going back through, I've got this brush again, and I'm going to use this color right here. So you'll see me use a color like this a lot. It is just a really soft taupey brown. It's a great transition shade, and it's perfect for really any eye look. Essentially, I have what's called a hooded eye, so you'll notice that I'm actually putting everything above my crease, and that's because I just want to make my eyes look bigger. If I put everything in my crease, the moment that I looked straight forward, you'd absolutely lose everything. This is also going to give the illusion that my eyes are actually bigger than they are. So you'll notice I went about 3/4 in with the color. I'm not doing... So you'll see that I went about 3/4 in with the color. I'm not doing a cut crease. I really don't want to accentuate the inner hollows of my eye. So you'll notice I've only gone 3/4 of the way in. Primarily that's because I don't want to accentuate the inner corners of my eye. It's actually not a part of the look that I'm going for today. So now we're just going to focus a little bit more on the outer corners. Now going back to my Stila 30, I am going to pick up this beautiful burgundy shade just right down here. I'm going to pick up this beautiful burgundy shade that you can see right here. Now I'm going to completely focus this on the outer corner of the eye. About 3/4 of the way in. And about 1/3 of the way up. And I am just packing on that pigment. And again on the other side. Now I'm going back through with a 16B, which is kind of like a flat blending brush. You can see that it has a little bit of like a tapered edge. That actually is going to go straight into my socket and help me blend and fuse out the parts of the eye which are unblended. I also have nothing on this brush. I really just want to merge the colors together, and I'm flicking up, out, and away. So now I'm going to go back through just with my blending 10R brush, and I'm just going to blend the edges of this. There is probably remnants from some of the lighter cream colors on this brush, but I haven't applied anything else. And really starting to focus on that center of the eye, because I want to make sure that there is a really beautiful transition between these two colors. And I'm not going to use a shimmer, so that means it's probably a little bit harder work, but it's going to give me the overall look that I'm actually wanting. So now I'm going to go in with the black. Now I'm not sure why there's actually 2 blacks in this palette, but that's okay. And I'm really focusing everything into the outer corner. Going back through again with my 16B, my little contour blendy brush. This time I am being a little much more tight with where I'm actually going to be blending. I do not want to blend this into the entire eye. I just want it focused on the outer corners. Now just going to go through again with this brush. And just really tap and blend and feather and make sure that I have a really beautiful transition between all the colors. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually clean up the fallout underneath my eyes. So now I'm quite happy with this. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is clean up the fallout underneath my eyes. So I'm just using a makeup wipe and I'm very gently just following the line of my lower lash line. I don't like using tape underneath the eyes. You're essentially pulling out some of the most sensitive skin on your body, and you know, you're never going to learn accuracy if you keep going to town with tape. But if I just have a little bit of a makeup wipe, I'm able to clean up anything that happens underneath. I love the Duraline gel liner. The pot is massive, the color is incredible, and I have really, really watery eyes, and so I don't have to worry about anything. I do gently pull at my eyes just because I want to make sure that I actually get an almond shape. And I try to keep it really close to the lash line, or as close as possible. So you can kind of see in the outer corners how, you know, this is such a black pigment. It's really noticeable now that this isn't as black. So what I am going to actually do is smudge a little bit of this gel liner back in. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take some just on the outer corner and kind of messily create like a little bit of a triangle and buff that in. So this is the Morphe E18. And you can see the difference already between how dark this eye is and how dark this eye is. The reason why I love doing this little fused liner trick is because you're not going to have to worry about the black. You're not going to have to worry about the black fading or your eye look not looking as dramatic or sexy as your night goes on. It's also great for someone like me, watery and oily lids. It's going to help keep everything in place. And it just takes a little bit of quick work. And guess what? Just try it. You know, give it a try. Maybe start with like browns if you didn't want to go in with the black, or alternatively, you know, try it when you're literally not going to go anywhere, just so you can, you know, get the hang of it. Okay, so now after lashes and a couple of adjustments with my liner looking very wonky, which sometimes I'm just going to be honest with you, it happens. Let's go ahead and finish the rest of the face. So I have prime, so I have primer all over. So I've primed, I have the Tarte Poreless Primer all over my face. Stila Stay All Day in color number 7, and I'm actually going to apply it with the BH Cosmetics 117, which is a part of their Sculpt and Blend set. Now I'm kind of starting toward the center of my face, and I'm going to blend the product everywhere else. Now this is definitely, it is a full coverage product. It has not necessarily a matte finish, not necessarily a dewy finish, but you know, I do have a lot of pigmentation and scarring on my skin, unfortunately. So it is really important that, you know, I have a foundation that's going to, you know, help cover and help everything else look just as good as my eyes. I don't want it to be super obvious that I'm wearing such a full coverage finish. In theory, you know, it would just look like I have perfect skin, which, I mean, anyone who really knows me and sees me without makeup on, it could be worse, but it could definitely be better. And the good thing is it is buildable, and it's actually a concealer that it advertises as, or it's actually a foundation that it advertises as a 2-in-1. So I'm going back through with my concealer brush now, and just going to go over the points in my face where, you know, I need that little bit of extra concealer, that little bit of extra love. So I just spent a month traveling around Europe, and that's part of the reason I have such bad breakouts. It was very hard to keep up a skin regimen when you were changing countries, you know, every 2 to 3 days, and you only had mini packs with you, and you know, being in the recycled air of an airplane, and it all kind of caught up with me. So normally my skin, you know, isn't this bad, and I normally don't have to put this much work into it, but I'd rather get a nice flawless finish. So I'm just kind of tapping on the areas where I do need a little bit of extra coverage. To be honest with you, I've never been that person who goes in and color corrects my whole face and does all of that. I feel like that actually would give me even more of a cakey finish. So I'm then going to go back through with the Anastasia Concealer in 1.0. Now, I don't really hear anyone talk about this concealer often. Like, I get it. It's a thicker concealer for sure. But I really think it's beautiful for underneath the eyes or areas where you do want a concealer that's going to cover but give you a little bit more hydration. Sometimes you really need it. And also, you know, on the high points of the face is good as well. So I am applying with this. I'm not going to be blending with this, just keep in mind. Okay, I've also brought that straight up into the outer corner of my eye because it is going to act as a part of my highlight. So I'm just going back through, and if it's an area where I had a breakout, I'm just kind of tapping the concealer into place. Just making sure that it's as blended as we could hope for. And I'm just going to brush back and forth, being really careful around the black because I don't want to pick up any of the black from the bottom of that smoky eye. And just fusing the rest of this in. Especially with concealer, there's nothing wrong with using your hands. Sometimes you really need the warmth of a hand, you know, on a creamier foundation to help meld it into the skin so that you don't feel like, you know, you have 50 million layers on. Rose, which is a palette from BH Cosmetics. It is a little bit powdery. You're going to see that there is a little bit of kind of fallout there, but overall it's actually a really great palette. So I'm going in with like the banana color first, just because I want to set underneath my eyes. It is beautiful because it's, you know, it's pigmented, but it's still a really soft pigment, so it starts to fill in the lines underneath the eyes. So I'm not really a cool contour person. I like warm contours. They suit my skin tone, so I'm going to go in with the warmer color here. And I'm using BH Cosmetics brush, and I'm only putting it on the half of the brush. And I'm actually doing my contour a little bit higher than you would think you should normally. And the reason is because I'm trying to lift my cheekbones. I'm trying to make everything look like nice and sculpted. And as you can see, it's a whole lot of pigment. So you do have to focus on blending. Ooh. And just also underneath the neck. Down the neck, a little bit of my collarbones. I don't really have much of a forehead, or I feel like it's big, but realistically it's not big, so don't really need to do a lot around there. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the banana powder and just cut right underneath that contour because I want to clean it up and I want to make sure it looks nice and fresh. So my next thing is going to be a little bit of nose contour. Now I'm really big with nose contour. I like my nose looking a little bit more slender. Trick with this though is making sure that you really focus on blending it. I posted a video like a week ago and I think I had some contour like way too high and it was just really awkward, but I'm just going to grab my 30 and I want to go through with that burgundy color. Just about 3/4 of the eye. I don't want to go all the way through. I don't want to close off my eye. I don't, you know, I have little eyes. You're not going to ever see me, well, I won't say ever. You're not going to regularly see me use black on my inner waterline. I mean, technically, if I really wanted to make my eyes pop, I could use white, but I always just feel like that doesn't make your eyes pop. It just looks like you're wearing white in the waterline. Now is the point for highlighter. I'm only going to use one highlighter. I'm going to use Prosecco Pop from Becca Cosmetics. I'm going to do it just in the inner corners of my eyes. Now, as you can see, Prosecco Pop is gold. Like, it is a gold highlight. There is no getting around the fact that it's a gold highlight. So when I do it on my cheeks so that it doesn't look like I just have this massive strip of gold, I'm using a really fluffy brush. And as you can see, it still is going to give me a really beautiful highlight. And for my lips, I'm going to use Serena from BH Cosmetics. It is just a matte liquid lip. I could have used a really dark lip. I didn't really want to, so, but I mean, this look is quite versatile.
Not the type to call you back tomorrow, but the way you wrap around me is a problem. Ain't nobody trying to save you, baby, get that paper. Probably got a lot of other bitches owe you favors. Pussy so dumb for these honest girl and all. Show me is you really about your money, girl, and all. Don't play with a boss, girl, take it all. Have it for a real one, you gon' get it all. Cash for nothing, cash for nothing, cash for nothing, cash for nothing, cash for cash